Hello Vlogalogue, how's it going? I'm a little late in recording this video. I normally record these things yesterday and I'm recording it the day it's supposed to go up, so I've got to be quick. What are we talking about? Neutral. The neutral position. Alex kind of talked about the idea that things get polarized, that we have, and that even when we kind of tangentially mention a thing, we have to state our position very clearly for fear of being vilified. This is something that bothered me for quite a while. Because I think, we'd all like to think that we imagine that, first off, we do have to acknowledge the point that there are such things as false dichotomies, that there's a place where saying that there are two sides to an argument offers credibility to a side that doesn't really have legs to stand on. That you put, when you say that there are two sides to something, that you are putting, you're tacitly putting equal weight on both sides, when that may not be the case. And it used to bother me for a while because I'd like to, I'd like to get out and say, I do support gay marriage, but I also understand that for many people who are deeply religious, which I'm not, of course, there we go, I had to mention that, but for many people who are deeply religious, the term marriage does have a particular association with it that is not a legal definition, but a religious one. And so the idea that the government has any say in that seems to violate the whole barrier between church and state thing. Granted, words belong to their speakers, so I think that's it's a difficult case to make. I would be perfectly happy to say that there's no such thing as marriage from a legal standpoint, and there is some arbitrary set of, you get to file your taxes jointly and you get all of the benefits associated with the legal marriage. But at the same time, I also understand that to a certain extent, because we use the term marriage colloquially, that is going to be seen as a lesser, that then becomes a mechanism by which we can say you are married and you are only legally joined, you're legally conjoined. And that then becomes like a cultural way of classifying and diminishing a set of people, even if single people are single non-religious people enter that section. So the point that I'm making is that I think I can understand if you have if you come at it from the perspective of holding your religious convictions very deeply and feeling that religion is something that is very spiritual and sacred to you, that the idea of the government going in and messing around with that and passing restrictions does constitute a real threat to your religious beliefs. Of course, it's very difficult to say that and without really risking irritating people. And I think there are a lot of topics where, because of where we are, because of kind of the demographics of the place that we interact, there are areas where there is an imbalance of kind of one side versus the other. If you're on Tumblr, you're not going to do very well if you don't subscribe to a feminist viewpoint. As an example, if you're on Reddit, you're not going to do very well if you're not a free speech extremist. They might even vote you out of the CEO position. It used to bother me for quite a while, because I felt like, I'd like to approach this and not just say I understand one side and I believe in this particular thing, but to kind of discuss it objectively. And even when you obliquely refer to something, as Alex said, people are going to say, well, either you didn't agree with me explicitly, or you actively disagree with me, and how dare you. One of the things that I've been trying to do recently, though, is realize that there's no shortage of topics that we can discuss that are not subject to that scale. We can talk about the benefits of mindfulness and trying to be happy, and whether we like a book or random things that are not subject to the same vitriol, and that rather than being frustrated about the world and the way that it is and the way that we interact on these hot button issues, it's entirely fine to say, if I enter the arena of discussing something, then I myself am yielding that I am, I'm aware that I'm entering that space, and that maybe it means that I only talk about contentious topics when I'm in, a smaller room, when I'm talking with a few of my friends, and I know that they're going to be reasonable about it. Or maybe it just means that in general, I try and avoid these things that are going to inspire vitriol on both sides, and just say, let's talk about things that we kind of have in common instead. George Carlin kind of broke down his comedy into 3 things. He talked about his comedy is in 3 categories. One is words, and the way that we use words. And the second is kind of the big world, jokes about politics and crazy, enormous things. And then the thing that he liked is the small world. And the third thing, things, he had this bit where he says, you ever look at your watch and then you don't know what time it is? So you look again and you still don't know the time. And he just tries to find those shared experiences that we all relate to. And it's not like someone's going to go, how dare you support the watch industry? Well, it's possible. But, that's one joke. There are plenty of other jokes that you can make. I think we all have to be stewards of our own sanity. We have to be aware of the level of kind of debate and stress that we can handle, because the world is the way that the world is. There are, obviously we can be a voice for change, but we can't do that if we run ourselves ragged and make ourselves miserable trying to argue about things where people are not willing to have kind of civil discussions. And so that's what I've been working on with regard to this topic. I hope I haven't irritated all of you. I'll see you next week.